Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to talk for just a hot minute about a topic I both love and hate, and that is the GoPro ecosystem. This channel was founded in partnership with a technology review website, so this isn't completely out of my lane, although I don't intend to keep doing videos like this, but I saw the earnings report for 2025 that GoPro posted a few days ago. And splashed in the middle of a lot of bad news was an optimistic take on their new AI processor.
AI processor?
That's apparently going to solve everything. Let me tell you what I think is really going on. I've been using GoPros for most of the history of this channel because as soon as I realized I liked this video editing thing, I needed compact cameras that could go almost anywhere. And, well, why not go to the original? First camera I used was a Hero 3 Black, used that for a year or two. Then when I could, somewhere around, I want to say 2021, I think, I upgraded to Hero 5 Blacks and rotated a few of those until one of them had overheated so many times that it started doing it faster and dropping bad frames. And to be fair, it had a good long life in my hands and wasn't new when I got it. Everything fails eventually. Finally, I upgraded to a pair of Hero 8s and then picked up a Hero 10 Black on a whim to see if the newer 1-inch sensor was any good for my work. And I liked it, but the Hero 10 Black famously has a bit of an overheating problem. So I went to Hero 12 Blacks and I'm pretty happy with those. And then I used the Hero 8s for some of my engine bay work where I'm more worried about damaging the camera. All of these are technically expendable if it comes to it because that's the risk I take when doing automotive work and other hobbies, but hey, I can live with it if they go. However, working with the ecosystem for that long has given me a little perspective on what works with GoPro and what doesn't. What works? It's a solid camera platform, and some of the accessories are actually kind of cool. Just take this for example. It's a little handheld way of manipulating your camera around, but it also does this. Selfie stick, tall tripod, short tripod. Yeah, someone thought this through. Now take a look at the camera. This is the Hero 8 Black, first generation with the radically improved Hyper Smooth feature that does software image stabilization. Previously on the Hero 5 Black, I ended up buying the Karma Grip, and it worked well enough. This works better. And the camera's good. The media mod I have on here, the media mod's good. Or step up to the Hero 10 Black and we have things like media mod with this amazing little LED light. And let's be real, this is a good product. It's very tiny. It can be incredibly bright. On the lowest setting, I've had it run for, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half or longer. For the size of the package, that's pretty well engineered. And that's the story with each of GoPro's products individually. Where they really fall flat on their face, apart from a couple of unresolved issues over time, is in being an ecosystem. What do I mean by that? Well, first of all, here's one feature that wasn't present on the Hero 5 Black, which both works really well and doesn't. If you're just using the camera by itself, then having these little integrated aluminum tabs that pop out and act as the mount point, that's actually pretty cool. The problem arises when you get into something like the media mod. First off, this is a pain in the neck to unscrew from underneath the camera. Now, I have to snap those down in order to remove the camera from this, which you might need to if you decide you want to access the SD card directly or need to change the battery. So I'm basically fully disassembling the kit in order to get to that. Why? This thing here is already so deep, there's no reason for these to pop out at all. It should have its own little tabs that pop out and allow the camera to be removed from the media mod. Two good products don't quite work together. It's like they were developed by two different people who weren't really talking to each other. But wait, there's more. If I am using this amazingly engineered little light in the holder on here, guess what? That doesn't open enough to release the camera without doing bad things. So first, I have to take the light off. Then I can open this and get to the battery and SD card. Now you might ask yourself, how often do you really need to do this? Because you have external charging ports on this, right? Well, if you're trying to use this for more than about 40 minutes at a time, maybe an hour at most, depending on the resolution settings, you're going to be swapping batteries. And what makes this whole form factor really fun is the fact that there is a bug in the Hero 8, in the Hero 12, and in the Hero 10 that I was using for a little while before I got the 12s and ended up selling off. That bug is, if you plug in the GoPro to USB charging and just let it sit, it may get to 100%, automatically shut itself off and be ready to go, or it may lock up with the red charging light still on and do nothing until you remove the battery. So, work this out, fold these up, pop off the light, open the media mod, extract the GoPro, Now you have your battery, which you have to pull out in order to reset it. It's understandable that older generations did that. They were small, they ran hot, GoPro was figuring stuff out. The Hero 8 Black does it? Why? The Hero 10? The 12? This is not progress. This is just resting on your laurels and hoping the incremental improvements on the next generation let your users forget that you didn't solve the problems on the previous one.
AI processor.
Now, as it happens, I found that frustrating enough that I decided to solve it myself. An extended screw assembly made of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts from Ace Hardware. This extends far enough out that I can easily do it and undo it without having to jam my fingers up under the media mod. And speaking of, we were just looking at the Hero 8 Black. This is the Hero 10 Black, and it's literally the exact same problem. It's a little bit larger form factor, so they expanded it to fit, and they did do a couple nice things like put weather seals on the back ports here, which are just wide open on the Hero 8 Black. But nonetheless, if this locks up in charging, which it will sometimes, or if you need to change a battery in it, or if it just plain overheats and so you need to disassemble it to cool it down faster, well, step 1 is undo that, remove it from your tripod or other hand accessory, fold in the tabs, which by the way are blistering hot because this thing needs a heatsink it doesn't have, remove the light, now open the door, now slide the camera out, and now you have access to the battery, finally. Note that I did all that without looking at it. I've done this a few times. Back when I had the Hero 5 Blacks, like I mentioned, I had the Karma grip, which also acted as a battery charger. That was great because the camera went into the frame of the Karma grip, everything was fully integrated, and you didn't have to worry about whether it was going to lock up while charging from the Karma grip. It didn't, in my experience. And you could charge the Karma grip directly. So that was all fine, well, and good. But now we're at this. And this brings us back to the fact that there are lots of good products in GoPro's portfolio. They don't work together. Now that's not quite true in the case of this Volta battery grip accessory, which by the way is perfectly well designed for what it is. It's got tripod pop-outs. The head rotates according to which way you need the camera to face relative to the screw insert. And it's even got this nifty little pop-out on the side here. So you can mount it from this side. So no complaints about the device itself. It even has this nice little curly cord here with this extended USB-C interface. What's going on with this? If you are using the camera by itself, then there is this optional battery door. And now we get to something that's actually pretty cool. This plugs into this extended port on the battery door here. Lights come on, nothing further needs to be done. Quick response, feels like an integrated product. This reminds me of how the Karma grip worked with the earlier models. But now let's talk about accessories not working together well. Because one thing GoPro wants to sell you is a creator bundle that includes this Volta grip, the media mod, and the nifty light. So let's put them together and see what happens. Now first of all, because we're using the media mod, we're back to having this thing jammed under here again where it's really difficult to get at. But now we find a different problem. This here opens up and just has a standard surface level USB-C port, which means this thing now needs to plug in like that, where it sticks way up and out and is easy to knock around, which could cause damage to the cord or to the port. Hopefully not, but far cry from this, where there was a nice place for it to go in the side and be very secure. This is a good idea. This, not so much. Second problem, even though we are connected via USB-C, because we're going through the media mod, the Volta no longer directly controls this, it only charges it. In order to control it, you now have to have this little Bluetooth button. So you're using an extra feature between this device and this device to make them talk to each other even though they're connected with a wire. Why? It worked fine when it was just a GoPro, why doesn't it work with a media mod? So instead, you now have to connect it by pressing the Bluetooth button. It still works. In my opinion though, it has a very slight lag on the buttons because it has to interpret a wireless connection rather than just going straight through and in. So what does that mean? I don't know. Once again though, this is not an integrated system. Why doesn't the media mod have a plug that is compatible with this? How come when this is connected through the media mod, it can't directly control the camera like it can when it's plugged into the camera? So where does this bring us? Am I going to stop using GoPro? No, I've got the investment. And again, individually, the hardware is not the problem. And that's why it's mystifying reading GoPro's latest announcement that after the Hero 13, they're going to have the Hero 14 with their fancy new AI processor that's supposed to solve some issues. My only question would be, is it going to solve the overheating issue? Because let's face it, yes, a camera doing this much in such a compact form factor is going to have heat management issues. But here's the thing, if you look at the Hero 13, there's just a hint of heatsink fins underneath the lens, which is what these should have had since probably Hero 8. I might be wrong, but one way or another, these cameras doing simple 4K 60 frames per second video should not overheat. They should have better thermal management than that. This has been a solved problem for a long time now. I get that if it's a hot day and it's out in the direct sunlight that it might happen, but if it's in the shade and it's 75 degrees Fahrenheit outside, what's the problem? Old problems are not being solved. GoPro, the problems you've identified on this earnings statement, nearly 20% year-over-year drop in camera sales, a loss that isn't as bad as last year, but is still pretty bad. I mean, I'd love to lose $90 million because it'd mean I'd have to have more than that. An AI processor in your next camera is not going to solve your problem. Get your different groups who are making these really good products together and don't let them out of that same room until either a winner emerges or they all agree to build a compatible ecosystem. That's what's going to save your brand. And if you can't do that, DJI and Insta and whoever else shows up next are going to continue to beat you up and steal your lunch money. Again, most of my channel was built on using GoPros, and they are good products. But the various parts of the products don't play well together, and that, in my opinion, is why GoPro is not doing well. Hope I'm not making a video like this again for a while, but for the 5 of you who stuck around to the end of that, thanks for listening, and we'll be... Disclaimers. This is not financial advice. I am not an investor, broker, or trader. My opinions are my own and do not reflect the views of any corporation that I work for or which may make products and services featured in this video. If you have questions or concerns about GoPro, their earnings, or the condition of the company, please consult official statements and filings and do not rely upon my views. Thanks for watching. Has anyone seen my phone?